Gilding is any decorative technique that applies a thin layer of metal, usually gold, to a solid surface. For this class, I'm going to show you how to put it on scrolls, but in history, it has been done for thousands of years. It's been put on wood, on paper, on porcelain, on all sorts of things. Gold leaf is gold that has been hammered so to tissue paper thin. It is usually 22 or 24 karat, which is 100% or 90% gold. You can get what we call metal leaf in several colors, which is not gold. It is a form of leaf that is made out of, well, not always aluminum, but most of it is nickel and brass. So it doesn't have any real gold in it, but they call it gold leaf. You can tell the difference between metal leaf and gold leaf by its price. Everything I'm working with today is going to be metal leaf. I don't actually own any gold leaf because I bought metal leaf to learn how to do it. I have lots and lots of colors. I have a pink. I have green here. I have a red that is shiny, shiny red. I can get it open like so. I've got 5 or 6 different of the metal colors. And then I've got the main colors here, which are the gold here. I have the brassy gold or the rose gold, which I don't know if you can tell with this light, the difference between the gold and the brass. And then I also have a silver. And these are all metal leaf. These pieces are about 5 inches by 5 inches. And they're separated by little pieces of paper so that they don't stick together, little wax paper. You can get all sorts of colors online. And then I also have silver, which is, looks like that. Now, none of this metal leaf has any gold or silver in it. It's all a mixture of brass and aluminum, or brass and nickel. But they look the same on paper. Here's an example of a scroll that I have done recently, where I gilded the outside of the scroll.
I have a question. How did you get the paper to be so stiff?
The paper I'm using for the scroll is pergaminata, so it's normally pretty stiff. This is it in its regular form. The pergaminata is the equivalent of 230 weight paper, so it's pretty stiff to begin with. But I wanted to make a frame for the painting, and it makes it easier to touch it, you know, that sort of thing. And so I decided to use the copper leaf and see how it would work. First thing you have to do when you're deciding to put gold on a scroll is design the scroll. I took this piece, which is actually a Book of Hours piece. This is the original piece here. And I put the design on the paper with a light box because I can't draw a stick figure by myself. Let's get that out of the way there. And this is the thing with the metal leaf. If you have some that is in the way or gets all ripped up and everything, you don't have to worry about throwing it out because it's only worth about a penny. This whole package of the 3 colors on Amazon cost me about $9. Whereas if I were to buy something like this in actual gold leaf, it could be hundreds of dollars. I am thinking for my little picture here that I'm going to put some gold leaf on the butterfly, on the wings. And you don't have to wear gloves when you work with PERG, but I prefer it because the oils will stop paint from adhering to PERG. So this way you don't have to erase when you're done. If you write on PERG or paint on PERG and you put your oils on, you always want to have something underneath because you're going to have issues later. So we just do kind of that. We put some paper towel down, and that way you don't get oils on your paper. Now, anytime you want to gild scrolls, you want to do the gold work first because you're going to use glue to put it on. This is a glue I got from Amazon here. It's about $5. It's very cheap. And it'll last pretty much forever because you don't use much. You got to mix it a little before you use it. And you always want to have a dedicated brush for the gold to remove excess gold leaf and for glue. You never use anything on that brush that you put in the glue, even after you clean it. It's always your glue brush. So let's see. Now the glue dries, it's white, but it dries clear. Put that over there. And you don't need very much of it. So I'll put a little bit of glue on here. And you have to wait once you get the glue on, just a little bit, 5 or 10 minutes for it to dry. So you put a very light coat on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, since I'm putting 2 different colors of leaf on, I'm going to put the glue on for one color and finish it, and then put the other color. Because otherwise the leaf won't know where to stick. And we will get a mess. The thing with gold leaf glue is once you put it on, it is on forever. Even your, while you can scrape it off, it never completely comes off. You always have a little tiny bit left. Okay, so we'll give that a minute to dry. You'll be able to tell that the glue is ready for leaf when it's tacky, but it'll feel like you're going to use your knuckle. You don't want to use your fingers because the glue will stick inside your fingerprint and you'll end up with an imprint, which can show up when you shine up the glue, the gold. So you always want to use the knuckle, and you kind of do that. Now this is still a little tacky. We'll give it another minute or so. It'll feel like, when it's ready, it'll feel like sticky tape. like the Scotch tape. So in the meantime, I will talk about something called bowl color. I got these ready here for the class. This is one letter that I've already leafed in the silver. Notice how it's got a design in it. And these are scrolls that are going to be in process. Basically, are an L, an A, and a D. And those will all become scrolls eventually. What I did was, once I decided on my design, I used this gesso to outline where I wanted my letter. And I put 1 or 2 coats of the gesso on underneath, because it kind of holds, waterproofs the paper. You don't want to use a lot of gesso at a time, because it's got a lot of water in it, and the perg will just do this kind of thing. And you can't really fix that except with a book press. But after I get the 1 or 2 layers on and then let it dry, I use this molding paste, which is much thicker, and I increase the height so that it becomes a 3D piece. And then you let that dry. And then, of course, you end up with whatever your design happens to be. Mm-hmm. Now, this bowl color, this red, helps the gold that goes over it, makes it a warmer color. The red pushes through the metal leaf and makes it a better color. They also historically have used the yellow, which makes it a neutral, so that your leaf doesn't change color. It just is its color. I did a couple in the different ones. Now, this particular one, I colored it in with the bowl red, and then I put a little more gesso in as a design. I put little polka dots, which are, if you could feel it, they are, gives it a rough feel. It makes it more 3-dimensional. On the F, wherever I put it, there we go. Once I got the design in, with gesso, I made cross hatches. And you can see how the cross hatches turn it's not a flat F. Whereas this one is just a flat C, a flat E, actually. It's just a flat letter. Doesn't have a design on top. If I wanted to use the whole leaf, I could. I mean, there'd be a lot of waste, but like I say, it's metal leaf. The whole leaf piece, it cost me about a penny. But you can split the pieces to fit what you want to cover. Now, a trick I found to place your leaf, you can use a tweezers, especially if you've got little pieces. I have found that if you take a piece of wax paper or aluminum wrap, or I use a Ziploc bag because it's clear and you can see through it. If you put it over and you kind of do a little press, sometimes you can get it to stick. Well, that didn't work too well. So it worked earlier, but it works better with saran wrap. But I didn't have any. So just kind of. And then you can kind of just put it where you want it. Like so. And that covers the entire gold area, and then you can just kind of put it down. And it will stick where the glue is. And I'll take this little piece off it. We'll give that some little time for the glue to dry. If there's a spot that either didn't get glue or didn't get gold, you can always move the pieces around. Let's see. And now I'll do the first take the part that isn't stick. I know I'm always a little not sure where the thing is here. What happens is, and I'm just lightly with the brush because you don't want to scratch the leaf. And with real gold leaf, when all is said and done, you burnish it with a agate. You can also burnish with your fingers too, but a lot of people use the agate burnishers, which is basically just shining the gold up a little bit. The handout, the last page is all websites for glues, for leaf, for real leaf, for metal leaf, all sorts of. There's like 12 different websites on there. Let's see if oh yeah, it feels pretty dry. I'm going to. Heck, this time I'm gonna do it with my hands. Let's see if we can get a new spot. It's amazing what you can do with those little pieces. We'll let that sit for a minute. And I found that these little tiny ones are more difficult to work with as a whole piece. They crinkle and crunch up very quickly, so they're very thin, and you cannot burnish them. The colored metal leaf tends to, as you rub, tends to flake right off, and it just gets sticky.
How long have you been illuminating?
Illuminating years. Probably 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm just starting to get into the Book of Hours.
I'm not sure what that is.
They were called squash bugs, is what they were. This is a Book of Hours piece.
Ooh.
What it is they
It's a
do
manuscript.
this one is particularly Anne of Bretagne manuscript, and they did all flowers with bugs. This is one I just did that I'm going to give to Kingdom.
Cool.
Once I do it, it's going to be a
Ooh.
Hope of the Sun,
Cool.
and that shows you all the different colors.
That's beautiful.
I've got the silver and the red and the purple and the blue.
Yeah, it's all leaf.
Yeah, it's all leaf. Yeah.
Except for the
So
leaves in the
cool.
background, but eh.
Yeah. That was just to, put them all together, make
Mhm.
like a bush planter out of it. But
Mhm.
and then I colored the paper. It's regular perg.
Oh, wow.
I colored the paper with sumi ink to make it a black scroll.
Cool.
So, and the sumi ink doesn't bleed through when I do the illumination and the painting and stuff. Didn't bleed through.
That's awesome.
So once that dries, you can make easy black scrolls. Yay!
Yeah.
And sumi ink is period.
Mm.
It's period from 8th century Japan.
Cool.
Let's get this together here. Let's see. Let's get this excess off real quick. People say you don't need to do 2 coats of gold. I like to, just because I think it gives you a better gold.
A fancier gold.
Yeah, well, and it's a little thicker. I think it's a little brighter. And your recipient is going to look at it and go, oh, "You gold leaf for me?" It makes them feel very special, I find, to get a scroll with gold leaf on it, whether it's metal leaf or not. And you'll find too that that if you use a circular motion, you're actually buffing the metal, so you kind of are burnishing it. You're just not using a literal burnisher. So that'll save you some money right there, because those agate burnishers are like $40. It's going to take me a second to get the glue on here, but that's okay, because you do want a thin coat. You don't want a real thick coat, because then it takes forever to dry. And that's why I kind of did a little bit around. Now that that is drying, I'm going to, we might be able to get away with that. All right, so we were going to do blue on this one. And I can already feel that I got glue on my hands. So I'm going to put gloves on real quick. The colored ones come in they're like 2.5, 3-inch by 3-inch. Whereas you can get the main gold, silver, copper colors in 5x5s. I've never seen the colored ones though in that big. This one of these break up really easy. So I'm going to fold it in and stick it on. Like that. See what a mess I make? You should see the floor sometimes after brushing it all. And make sure, you know, when you're in the middle of it, don't bother to clean it till you're done. Because it's like beads on the floor. You'll that's all you'll be doing is picking up beads.
I was gonna say, I think it's like a skating thing. You never know what's all over the floor, but chances are there's something.
Right. And
As long as it's not a needle or a sword, you're fine.
Yeah.
right. Well, and this stuff is like glitter. It just goes everywhere. But if you can see the color, that should be a nice little blue. Let me give that a minute to. There. I've also found that this blue, or the colored stuff, tends to stick a little bit to the gold. So worst case scenario, we would just, this isn't perfect, and I'll fix it later because some of the blue stuck to the gold, but that's my butterfly at the moment.
Ooh. It's nice.
And let me see. Ooh, this feels like it might be ready. I'm just going to use full sheets on the green because one thing that you'll find is once you touch the glue, that's pretty much it. You're not going to be able to move your metal leaf around or any of your leaf around. Once it touches the glue, that's where it's going to sit. And you'll find too with the when you're doing a leaf that's three-dimensional, you're going to use a lot more leaf because you've got to get the edges. And, yeah. Which means you're going to make much more of a mess because you're going to have a lot more to clean off. Now, especially if when you're working with gloves, it makes it so much easier because I can pound with my fingers down the and effectively get so that you can see that pattern coming through.
Yeah, that's super neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then I will put it on the light box and put a design around to make it all, you know, inclusive.
Yeah.
And it'll become a scroll. And with a D, I can, you know, start my calligraphy do or, you know, something.
I think there's a whole document in the Atenveldt Scribe Handbook that's just different like ways to start, like depending on what your beginning letter is.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. Well, and I'm finding I am just learning to write my own words.
Mhm.
I've always depended on someone else to do the calligraphy before. And now I'm starting to do the calligraphy. Oh my God, writing words is hard.
Aw.
Make sure you keep a book of the words you have written, because then you can go and either use them again or modify them, and you don't have to start from scratch. I'm definitely going to have to re-glue the edges, but that's, yeah, for the first,
The rest of it'll look great.
right?
Until you re-glue the edges.
Right? But see all the glitter?
Yeah.
It's the arts and science.
It's the earth and science what?
Herpes.
It's the arts and science herpes.
Can never get rid of it.
I mean, my family says that too.
It goes everywhere.
Once it's
And
there, you
and
can
the
never get
colored,
rid of it.
Yep.
the colored stuff sticks to everything. I thought regular, like the gold and silver and copper were sticky, but the different colors, oh my gosh. I vacuum weeks later and find more. But for the most part, that is our D.
That looks awesome.
Now,
Woo!
I don't know. Can you really tell whether it looks brighter or not with the red under it?
Not really.
No, I don't see a difference either. And so, yes, that is the period method. I usually don't do it because it really doesn't make that much of a difference, especially if you're building something up with gesso or the masking clay. You're basically putting your stuff on a white background. It's gonna look the same. And if you want to, some people manage to put their glue so that you get a line like between the I haven't learned to be that careful with glue yet, but I have found you can take a little tiny brush, put a little gesso, very little, paint it on like paint, let it dry, takes like 2 minutes to dry, and paint over it and make your lines. I also found in my research that the metal leaf, you will want to seal because it can change colors. Since it's not gold, it can
Oh
tarnish
no.
depending on the color, but it
Yeah.
takes like a year to do that. And they sell it. It comes in a thing like the adhesive for like $5, 2 ounces, and it's pretty much a clear varnish that you just put it on the leaf itself, not on the paint, just on the leaf, and let it dry, and it's good forever.
How do you get started?
You buy some stuff on Amazon and you start playing, and you can play on paper, you can play on PERD, you can play on, heck, you can even play on aluminum foil.
Yeah.
I learned, because let's see, these letters that I did here, I learned the hard way because I was playing with this stuff that I got it. Oh God, I don't even know where I bought it. Oh, Arizona Art Supply. I got this at Arizona Art Supply. And it is thick goo. And if you are not, it's kind of like plaster. If you are not artistically inclined, which I'm not, as far as that sort of thing, I was putting this directly on the PERG and waiting for it to dry. Well, I couldn't get it flat. I couldn't get it perfect. It was taking forever. So I found out that if you put your piece on aluminum foil. You can make a square and it'll be perfectly flat. It'll dry flat because the water has nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can take an X-Acto knife and cut out any shape you like, which is how I got these letters.
Ooh.
And then you can glue it to the perg and
Uh-huh.
then cover it with leaf and it'll stay forever.
Wow.
I am the hack queen because I have no patience.
Same.
The period way, I will tell you, the period way is to use this gesso by itself, layer by layer by layer by layer by layer. Well, when you do a thin enough layer of gesso to not affect the perg because it has a lot of water in it, you're ending up, if you want to do something like this D and make it this, I don't know, it's maybe 1 millimeter in thickness, you're doing like 30 layers. So it's going to take you a long time to build it up. I don't have that kind of patience.
Looks like we are at the end of a good long day of art and sciences.